I had the most fun ever reading probably the worst book I've ever read. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Reading Crossbow. My name is Lena, and I'm here with my co-host Rob.
Hey, Lena, and I'm excited to talk to you this week about your book choice for January, and you picked a winner.
I did, didn't I? Well, we'll just cut to the chase. I picked a winner, right? It is Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. There will be murder. Also on the back, my favorite quote that I didn't bring up before when we talked about this is Agatha Christie with glitter magic. Do you feel like that's true?
I mean, sure. It's some of those things.
Okay, you guys, it's safe to say that this was not Rob and my favorite book that we've ever read on the show. It definitely had its moments. We're going to do a little bit different of a show than we normally do. For those of you new here, we usually go through characters, the magic system, the world building, the love story, the spice level, the maps. But you know what? This book just didn't have all of the things we normally look for, so it's going to be a bit shorter. Don't you think, Rob?
Yeah, but I think we can talk about some of the things that we enjoyed about this book. What was your favorite bit?
All right, though, before we get into it, I'll give a quick plot summary. So, Voyage of the Damned is exactly that. It's a voyage, and it is damned. It's damned despite the occupants of the voyage being blessed. So, there's an empire. It has 12 provinces, and each of these blessed have a different province. And this is a voyage that happens once a generation, where after the voyage is over, they basically take power over their provinces in this empire. But we have a murder mystery. It is basically like murder on the Nile. So yes, very Agatha Christie, and lots and lots and lots of glitter, because the main character, who also becomes our sleuth, is, well, he's just glittery. And he's not a very good sleuth. And I don't know, there's disappearing 6-year-olds, there's lions, there's mystery tattoos, there's strong women, and there are men who can talk to animals. I hope I summed that up. But yeah, murder on a boat with people of interesting personalities and multiple colored hair.
Yes. This is a very unexpected book. Especially with the title like Voyage of the Damned, I was thinking this was going to be a little bit more badass than it turned out to be.
Yeah, it was not. But it was fun, this sounds like such a downer. If you're watching our channel for the first time, I don't want to make it seem like you shouldn't pick up this book. If you're looking for a really good, fun time, a truly dynamic character that's interesting and colorful, then yeah, this is a great book for you. One thing readers might like about this book is that it's also LGBTQIA friendly, and it's done in a very fun way.
As you mentioned, this is very much leaning on the Agatha Christie, so whether it's Death on the Nile, Murder on the Orient Express, this is a group of people, they're all enclosed in a very limited space, and slowly they're killing each other. And that's the murder mystery, and really it's the heart of the story is a whodunit and why. So these characters are like divinely anointed beings. They're the only people in the world with actual magic, and they get it from their parents. So killing one of these anointed, blessed people essentially is dooming everyone.
The one saving grace that we have is our main character, though, on this voyage, and that character is named Ganymedes, or just Dees for short. And he tends to liven up all situations, mostly because he wants to be there the least. He comes from the poorest province with the least cool blessings, and basically any of the lower provinces, we'll go over the map later, basically feeds or protects the empire. And so he's not respected by what they call the uppers, so which is like the upper provinces where they have more wealth, they tend to have cooler blessings, and he just does not want to be on this ship. He's doing everything he can to avoid his blessing or avoid being here. He doesn't want any part of it. Actually, if he could just not even be in this world, he'd be okay with that. He's tried to leave it, actually, once before. So, kind of a sad but happy person, but definitely brings a lot of personality to the boats. And he's one of the best parts of the story, really. So that kind of leads us to, what was your favorite part of this story, since we're not going to break this down how we normally do? Or what did you really enjoy?
I think I actually did enjoy the kind of whodunit part of this book. Almost any murder mystery type of book, if you just look at the very beginning when the murder first happens and you say, who is the book saying is the least likely murder suspect? Yeah, that's probably it. That's how all of these books kind of tend to work. But if you're not taking like a meta text of the book and just saying, given the information provided, I think it's a very good kind of murder mystery that I kind of enjoyed the way the murders proceeded. And what do you think? Did that work for you?
Well, I grew up with Agatha Christie, and my mom made me read her early, so I actually really did enjoy that as well. And I was looking very much forward to that. And Ganymedes is just fun. So, like I said, he doesn't want to be there, so he tries to get kicked off the boat early by wearing like a shiny outfit and disrupting the party and basically being rude to everyone. He tried to get kicked off, right? And so, also, he tried to get fingers pointed at him in a way, and this happened before the first murder. So like he's trying to get all eyes on him, and then this murder happens, and they think it's him, right? And then the story really progresses from there. But that was a ton of fun. And I just like, I think what unraveled for me, that with the murder mystery, was it was kind of all over the place, often with like your Agatha Christie's, like one clue leads to another and then another, and you kind of unwrap it one layer at a time.
Okay.
Where this murder mystery felt scattered.
Yeah, and you kind of need the later, because there's more than one murder. You kind of need the later
Lots
murders
more.
to help you understand the plot. And that's kind of the key part of this murder. Like one murder wasn't enough. You don't get enough clues out of that. But I think we're actually kind of burying one thing about Ganymedes, and that's that he's a fraud. He's actually not blessed. And that's why he's trying to like piss everyone off. He wants no one to be his friend because he knows if they pay too much attention, they'll realize he's not one of them. And he's very afraid of that being exposed.
And he has to prove his innocence just after trying to make everyone hate him.
Yeah.
So that is a complex part of the story that I found very, very interesting. But outside of Ganymedes, because I think we can both agree we love Ganymedes. I think I might even try to find the text, because I think we were exchanging about this. I mentioned that the book was going like a bit not how I thought, and you said something along the lines of, I'm going to keep reading because I really like the main character. And I think we both felt that way.
Yeah, he is, especially in the beginning, he is kind of an unrepentant jerk. But because he has a purpose, he's being a jerk for a reason. He's not a jerk because he's a genuine asshole. In fact, he's actually pretty likable. He's just trying to piss everyone off in the beginning. And he's actually got a bit more soft heart, and you see that when he interacts with the youngest member of the Voyage, which is from Grasshopper Province.
Which she just calls Grasshopper, which is adorable too. So Ganymedes just has a lot of fun qualities like that make it fun to read.
Yeah, and
I think he names his servant, what do you name, Dumpling?
Yes.
Like cute stuff like that.
Yeah, he is very much a stress eater. So whenever he gets very stressed out, he orders his little magical servant to basically bring him candy and chocolates and all sorts of sweet treats. And him and Grasshopper spend a good portion of this book basically just eating while they're pondering what they're going to do next.
Yeah. And I should mention that there are 12 passengers, right? The 12 blessed. And there are 12 servants. And these are magical servants. They're not like real. They're made up by the emperor who has the most magic. And we know from the beginning, it's told from the beginning that it can't be one of the servants because they're not like real. And so that kind of narrows things down quite a bit, and makes it more interesting too, because it can only be one of 12. But outside of that, we know what makes the book fun. The book's fun because of the main character. If you like really interesting main characters, if you like a lot of personality, if you like a lot of wit, funny cracked jokes, wisecracks all over the place, then this is definitely the book for you. But maybe we should talk a little bit about why we've been so hesitant to really review this book thoroughly, like we have in the past. And that is like, what didn't you like about this book?
Um, Everything else.
Yeah, everything else.
So I guess what I most disliked about this is actually something when I looked around, a lot of people were praising the world building. And I
Yes.
I struggled because I was like, this is like it felt like Saturday morning cartoon level world building. Everything is very much a caricature of like very stereotypes. It's like every province and the characters and people from them was a single blurb, and that represented the entire population. And they're incredibly isolated from one another. It's like you would have a cartoon where basically each episode they go into a new province and it's a completely wacky new place that has no relationship to anywhere else. And that's all of the world building felt that way. And it just kept compounding upon itself. Like there's a whole province where everyone is a priest. There's a province where everyone is a fisherman. A province where everyone is a soldier. And it's like, this is stupid. It's too simplistic, and I found that very frustrating because it's the core of the story. It's the thing that everything else is built on. It's the basic building block, and it feels too simplistic.
Yeah. It's like if you gave someone something complex, like, hey, can you mimic this picture of the Mona Lisa, but you can only use crayons? Or, hey, I want you to make this like cool map of this world, but you can only use brightly colored Legos. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like there was some good ideas, but the author only had crayons. Or like the little 8-color box of watercolors that you dip your brush in water. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm trying to explain it. It's like they didn't have the right materials to follow through properly. And this is in pretty much every aspect of the book for me. The world building, like I said, you said we heard some people praise it. I read this on Goodreads too, and I was like, have you not read many other fantasy books? I mean, I haven't brought this up and people might hate me. I'm risking hate in the comments right now, Rob, so prepare yourself. But I feel like the TikTok wave of like book talk has brought a lot of people into reading, which is fantastic. That is a great thing. But I think it's brought a lot of people into reading into a certain category of books, and they haven't gone outside of it more, which is one thing our show is trying to do. So hopefully we can encourage you all to read books that aren't just YA or aren't just this subset of like copycat fantasy that we're seeing a lot of lately. And this book was that. And it had great ideas, but it just didn't have follow through. The world building was mush when you compare it to other worlds that we've lived. And the writing, oh my gosh, don't get me started. But the writing was very juvenile.
I mean, it makes sense. The author is primarily historically a YA writer, and that shows in the text of this book. And there's not I don't want to say that there wasn't good ideas. Like one of the things I really liked about this book was the way their powers reflect who they are on the inside. In fact, there's a whole little taboo thing where they don't like to talk about what their special magic power is because people will be able to infer something about them because of that power. Like, for example, one of the characters can turn invisible and people can read into that. Or another character has I don't want to spoil their power, but once you learn what their power is, you're like, man, they must have had a really tragic childhood in order for that to be their power. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's parts of that I really, really liked, and I got the feels for some of the characters too, like you mentioned, which was probably one of the few spots I got the feels in this book is like, oh, that makes sense that this is this person's blessing. But I do feel like we've seen that before. And that comes from this kind of generation of books I was just talking about. I don't know when this came out, so I'm going to give it a quick look, but I think it was 2024. Yeah, copyright 2024. I think I have Fourth Wing over here. Let me just see the copyright on Fourth Wing. I think it was 2023. So I just feel like Fourth Wing kind of did this too. Yeah, 2023. Where certain signets can manifest. Well, your signets can manifest not just because from the dragon, where you get them from, but also from who you are inside, which is why some of them don't share certain signets. Now, it's not, this is more personality based and more experience based, but I do feel like it drew from books like Fourth Wing. And I don't know. You mentioned a couple books ago, I think it was Red Rising, where when a certain book comes out, sometimes publishers will say, now we want you to write a lot of that because people are buying a lot of that. That's why we related it to Hunger Games. It came out not that long after. And I think a lot of these books are like, this sold, like the Fourth Wing series sold, and now we need to talk about powers that manifest from you, or now we have all these dragon books. But I don't know, this one just missed the mark for me, but it did have some good moments for sure. I just feel like the writer needs to just mature a bit, write a bit more, get reviewed a bit more, maybe have more editing done.
Yeah, like I said, I think for me, just there's almost a simplicity that comes from this book that really just felt like it drained the life out of this story, because it was like everything felt like a caricature of what was intended. And I feel bad about that because I felt like there was some great potential here. It just didn't land for me.
Yeah, same. Let's pick out, though, let's go best moment in the book, because there are people that are going to be drawn to this type of story that they just want a fun read. They're hopping on an airplane, they're on a beach somewhere with a margarita, and they're like, yeah, cool, let's just read this. I don't care. So best moment, what did you love in the story?
I think it was Grasshopper. She is this character. Every time she talks, she is just the most unhinged. She's very excited, maybe murder some people. And she's always like, we're a swarm. The way she talks and acts, every time she was really brought up in a scene was kind of my favorite part of that scene, because it's just that fun, unhinged character.
Yeah, she grows up. We didn't talk about this too much, but she's one of the closest provinces next to what they call the Bandage. I brought that up a little bit, but basically it's where they banned a bunch of people from where they lived a long, long, long time ago, and it's basically like these people are feral, or they can't be trusted, or they're afraid of them. So her village is constantly being like attacked, or so it's like it leads you to believe. So she grows up in this like tough environment. So she's just like, she's not affected by the murders. Like, she's seeing all these things and seeing dead bodies left and right, and she's like, yeah, okay, all right, are we gonna get ice cream after this? Kind of like, oh, last time we celebrated with ice cream and treats, are we doing that again? Like, she's just unfazed, and it's really, really sad, but it's also comedic relief. The whole book, I mean, comedic relief is like every 2 sentences in here. Yeah, she was tons of fun. My favorite part was probably the most expected favorite part, which is when Ganymedes, or Dees, gives the big F you to everybody and decides to put on a costume, because there's like costume day. It's like the first feast of, the trip, where they all have to kind of dress up from their regions. And he's from the fish region. So he decides to dress up like a fish because he hates them all. And he's like, oh, they think I'm a piss fish anyway, because that's what they call the fish where he's from, the fish that they harvest from the sea. And basically there's this ore that's very valuable from one of the regions, and he decides to kind of like paint these scales to make it look like that ore. So he's large and in charge. He's a bigger guy, and he jumps up on the table basically half naked, covered in these hand-painted kind of scales that they think is the ore, kind of starts dancing around and being an asshole and calling people out on their shit, and it's hilarious.
Yeah. And it's actually, I did find it kind of funny, because like the little servants can do stuff. You can ask them to like bring you food or do a chore for you. Someone asked their servant to remove his other clothes. So he has to spend the entire 12-day journey in this costume that everyone hates. So it's a constant reminder. And I found that it was pretty funny, the concept of that costume.
And he's constantly in it, right? It gets blood on it. It gets vomit on it. He sweats on it. He gets frosting on it, and he just starts to smell. And he talks about starting to smell. And I guess that's what makes it so funny. So really, people who are looking for that comedy, this is it. But what was your worst part in the book for you?
I think for me, the worst part is essentially when you get close to the big reveal at the very end. I felt like it revealed itself, whereas the main character and his, the swarm were trying to discover the plot, and the plot just exposes itself in the end. And I was like, dang it, like that's the whole payoff, is you want to have someone, point the finger and say you did it. And instead the bad guys just reveal themselves almost in a like Scream type manner. Like, aha, I'm the murderer. And it's like,
yeah, it was the villainous monologue.
it really was.
Yeah.
I think that's what I hated the most.
That is on. I have two things. I have two things that I hated the most, and that's on my list. So I'll get back to that one because there's another piece to that besides the villainous monologue, which also very cartoony. You can't know this, but I was there because this is my story. And you're like, are they really saying that? But anyway, okay. So I think you can't let this book just fall open and not have a stupid joke or a penis joke or like something that disrupts the mood. Like they will have just found a body and he'll make a joke about something. And I don't like that in any book. It's one of the things I hated actually about Fourth Wing is they'd be in battle and somebody would like, how do I look in my flying leathers while standing and fighting? And I'm like, no, you didn't. Not those exact lines. Someone's going to say, that's not what they said in the story. You're right. It's not, but it's similar. So there's one spot where I rolled my eyes. I like rolled my eyes clear to the back of my head and was like, I can't do this. And it's right after a murder and he's going to go question someone because remember, he's trying to solve this case. And knocks on the door and like is trying to figure out how to talk to them because he's intimidated and scared by them. And basically because his name is Dees, or that's what he calls himself, he's like, are you here for the D? Something like that. Like, and I'm like, what? I thought you'd be like, hi, can we talk about the guy that's been murdered on deck? It's really bad up there, but no, are you here for the D? And I'm like, well, shoot. Okay. Someone will find that funny, but I did not. And then it just kept coming and coming and coming. I couldn't take it anymore. And then that last spot that you were talking about when this is all unraveling and the murderers basically doing their monologue, they're playing chess. So like they're narrating what happened and then Dee's like pawn to queen. And then it says like queen's is square 3 and then, and then I took her king and ha 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 ha. So not only that, it felt like the roll your eyes moment in Harry Potter when Ron is sacrificing himself on the night, but not really. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Like I said, there's just a lot about this where it just felt like there was just good ideas, and I felt maybe I'm too old for this book. And yet
I think we're both, yeah.
And yet some of the I felt like this book really was targeted at almost the preteen age as far as like the way it's written, the stereotype of the characters, the way each character's province works. But then you throw in a lot of, dick jokes and other pretty spicy content. I mean, it's there. It's just enough that you're like, yeah, this isn't for young kids.
Yeah, I haven't been this disappointed about reckless humor, stupid humor in a book since we read Starter Villain by John Scalzi. And you remember how scathing of a review I left on this. And this was more fun, for sure. So, I mean, this one had talking dolphins that said the F word all the time and cats like that could like buy houses and stuff. Like, come on. So yeah, you know what? We should talk about one more positive thing, Rob, because someone's listened to all this stuff that we said we hated and are still like, that's for me. So let's show them something else that's for them, which is the map.
Yes. Not just one, but 2 maps.
We get a twofer.
So
a twofer. And does yours have, I'm actually curious, does yours have like the seals?
Yes.
And the blesseds? Okay. So we also get supporting evidence.
So the first map is a map of the like peninsula that this world is set on. It's at the very bottom is the bandage, where basically the rest of the world is cut off and removed, and then these are the 12 provinces. This voyage, I have no idea where on this map they're going, where they took off from the up in the Dragon province there at the tip. But where are they going?
At the tip?
Maybe.
I think Ganymedes would have said at the tip.
Yeah, he definitely would have.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Rob, but that had to happen.
Yeah. Well, and if I say they were heading towards the bottom, he would have made a joke about that, which he did many times.
Many times.
But I assume either stopping at one of these rocky islands, but we don't really know. It's not clear. But this gives you a general idea of the world. And I like that this exists, even though it plays very little role in the book itself, this specific map. Because it does give you a visualization of what it looks like, even if this is very much almost a extreme caricature of each of those provinces. Like you see the spider province, the entire province is in like a crater, and the fish province is basically just a bay with a bunch of little islands. But it does give you a feeling of what this world is like, and I like that. I'm glad this map exists. It gives you a good feeling for each of these areas. What about you?
Yeah, I think good feeling is a great way to describe it, because none of this world could ever exist like together ever. I mean, we have everything but tundra. There's barren lands right next to a waterland.
There are tundra lands. Like two of the provinces are very, very cold, and they're right next to the province that's pretty warm.
Yeah.
Like I said,
exactly. So none of this can happen.
No.
It's silly. And there's a rainforest too. There's a rainforest one. So we basically we do have tundra, as you said. We have the cave dwellers. We have the rainforest section. We have the barren, dry land, and then we have plains. I don't know. Silly. Yeah. You know what? You said something that stuck with me, because again, for those of you who might be new here, we last year we read 2 books a year. We're still doing that, and we try to vary between like romantasy, fantasy, grimdark, and give you like a nice tasting on this show of the fantasy world. We read Cassandra Clare's Swordcatcher last year, which some of you might have enjoyed. And Rob said, and it scarred me, that map looked like what you would get at like one of those travel restaurant places where you have to color in the map and it shows like Route 66 here and these little. This reminds me of a color in map. Like it goes back to my crayons comment earlier. I'm in a tiny little diner. I'm 6, like Grasshopper, and I'm waiting for my 3 triangle-shaped crayons in red, yellow, and blue from the waitress.
Yeah. No, I mean, everything is an extreme example. Like that province is just a bunch of caves. That province has a bunch of igloos. That province right next to it is a beach place. That province right next to it is a rainforest. I mean, it's all silly, but I'm glad it exists. I like the map. It's the artistry of the map I actually really like.
The map is beautiful. It really is.
Whereas our second map actually pertains to the book, and that is a map of the ship. And this is another kind of really good map. The artistry of the map is, I mean, it's perfect for what you need for this book.
I thought it was fun too. I love the shape of the ship. We didn't mention that the ship's a magical ship. It basically, its engine is powered by the Emperor, who has like lots of magic, more than anyone, and so it doesn't need engines. That's the power. If he dies, it stops. The one thing that I wish it had, because again, beautiful illustration, fun rendering, it's labeled, it even has a gym, it has everything you could possibly need, except the location of the inhabitants' rooms, which I thought would be more useful. Because it talks about the Dragon Province, blessed, having the biggest room. And then it talks about the lower provinces having smaller rooms and much more next to each other on the lower decks. And I thought to me that felt much more useful, and I just wish it was here.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of there. You just the number 4, but there's 2 of them. So
yeah,
but the way it's described in the book, where it's you have, as you mentioned, like certain ones have bigger rooms and there's smaller rooms and they're separated in different ways. Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, you almost want a little sub map just where it shows where the cabins are, so you can see their relative positions, because it's supposed to be related to their hierarchy within the empire. But yeah, no, I like this map too. I think these maps were terrific.
But again, for me, they're fun, not a lot of substance, right? It's fun. I could color it with my 3 triangle crayons. But it doesn't give me much that's useful. Like you said about the first map. I want to color it, but that's about it. There's more missing and more wrong with it that you would have flamed last year if this would have been one of the earlier books that we read.
Yeah.
But since it's not, and we've seen a lot of maps, this is absolutely one of the better maps that we've seen.
Yeah.
I got to give it that.
And there's also a few more just pages where it shows the symbol of each province and a little bit about those provinces. And those symbols actually come out throughout the book, because each day of the journey is represented by one of the provinces. And so 5 or 6 chapters will have one province's logo at the top of the beginning of the chapter, and then once it goes to the next day, the chapter changes to a different logo, and it just moves through each of the provinces throughout the days. And that was a nice little touch.
Yeah, I did like that. All right, so map done, general conversation done. I don't even want to talk about the magic. Y'all can talk about it in the comments or join our Discord. We're just gonna go straight to rating this book. What did you think?
It's a solid 1 for me. This is not a book for me. It is. I think it actually misses its target demographic entirely. Either it should have been like for preteens, or it should have been for an adult or young adult. I think it tried to split the difference and failed at both.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's one scene, just one, outside of the dirty jokes, that make this completely not appropriate for children. Otherwise, it read like a children's book. But I could not agree with you more. I had the most fun ever reading probably the worst book I've ever read. This is a solid 1.
Well, at least we agreed on this book. Well,
We've never done this.
We disagree on a lot of books, but we agreed on this one.
Oh yeah. I don't even know how to describe this. Like, we've talked about maybe changing how we rate books. The fun level in here, the character, how great Ganymedes was, the concept of certain things. It's definitely, we're in our 4s and 5 ranges. Like, I couldn't have liked him more until I was tired of him. But so I don't know what to tell you all. Measure that how you will. If you want a fun book, it is up there. Enjoy. If you're looking for any sort of good writing or a murder mystery that makes sense, or world building that doesn't have gaping holes in it, this book isn't for you. It's a 1.
So if you want to get our opinions on other books, hopefully better books, be sure to like and subscribe. We've been doing really well for 2025. The show's been doing great, so every subscribe really helps us a lot.
Thank you so much. I think we're going to hit partner this year. You can help us get there. See you next time.